What's up, everyone? Welcome to the special draft edition episode of the Patel and Kumar Show. I'm your host, Shivam Patel, coming to you live from San Antonio, Texas. And my co-host, Mr. Kumar, coming to you live from Mumbai, India. Mr. Kumar, I cannot tell you how excited we are to be back. And first of all, I hope everyone had a very happy Diwali and a wonderful time. And Mr. Kumar, I'm the happiest person in the world because the NBA season is around the corner and starting very soon.
Absolutely. A very, very happy Diwali, folks, and welcome back to the Patel and Kumar NBA Talk Show. And as Mr. Patel said, I am equally excited because we have a lot of NBA news. The NBA season is about to start. The draft has taken place. And of course, free agency starts day after tomorrow. So we have a lot of material to cover in this particular show. And of course, we also have the gorgeous Prachi Tehlan joining us in the Indian Tadka section. So Mr. Patel, what an exciting show we have. And we can get started with the draft first. And, it was really crazy because the entire world expected Lamelo Ball to get drafted as a number one pick, but Minnesota just pulled a rabbit out of the hat.
Yes, it was completely surprised to me, Mr. Kumar, that the Minnesota Timberwolves selected Anthony Edwards with the number one overall pick. And I think it was a good selection, because Anthony Edwards is a very powerful guard. He's big. He's 6'6", 225. He can get downhill. He'll play well with D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns and bring a young talent because, Mr. Kumar, the Timberwolves need talent right now because they've been just atrocious this year. So I think it's a good ad for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Absolutely. And number two, James Wiseman. He is 7 foot 1 inch center and exactly what probably the Golden State Warriors needed. But it's just a little bit of bad news coming in from the Warriors team in terms of Klay Thompson. I think we got to wait and watch in terms of what happens to his injury. But I think it was a good selection for the Golden State Warriors because he can probably come off the bench right at the start and give them some kind of minutes and probably a combination of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Wiggins, and of course, if Klay Thompson is healthy, he could be a better prospect than probably the others in the draft. So I think it was a good selection for Golden State Warriors. Yeah.
It was a very good selection because he's 7'1", like Mr. Kumar said, 7'6" wingspan. He was the number one recruit in high school, and he's just a big, athletic, big man. He can really run the floor like a deer. He'll be great in pick and roll, and he's going to winning culture, Mr. Kumar, so that'll develop him the right way.
Absolutely. And Manish, thank you for your comment. We were looking forward to it, and it's great to see your comments as well. So please keep connecting with us on the chat on YouTube and Facebook channels. And, we'll probably have a more interactive show. So moving on, I think it's very surprising that Lamelo Ball actually moved to the number 3 spot with the Charlotte Hornets. So I think this guy has probably the most potential. According to a lot of people, he's played internationally in Lithuania. He's played internationally in the Australian NBL. He was pulled out of high school by his dad. His brother went number 2 to the Lakers. And of course, he was traded to the New Orleans Pelicans later on for Anthony Davis. But, is he going to be a baller or is he going to be a bust? I mean, that remains to be seen because the ceiling is pretty high. He needs to develop his shooting. He's not a great shooter yet. He needs to improve on his defense. I just hope the system in Charlotte basically, helps him develop into a good potential player.
And I think it will because Charlotte has some young players P.J. Washington, Devontae Graham, Miles Bridges, and they're going to run up and down the floor. And he's a perfect guy to have the ball in his hands. He's very flashy. He can get to the lane. He needs to improve his shooting. That starts with the shooting mechanics. He shoots from like his chin all the way up to his chest. So like it shoots from too low of a release. that's going to be stuffed in the NBA. They're going to eat on that. So he's got to improve. Also with shot selection, Mr. Kumar. If you remember the game that he scored 92 points in high school, he was like pulling up from half court. Like it was crazy. And he's not going to be able to do that in the NBA. And I think if he continues to improve his shot selection, his shooting percentages will be a lot better. But I think he has a very high ceiling. And Mr. Kumar, we had a poll that asked the audience, who will have a better career, Lamelo or Lonzo? And it looked like 58% of the audience said Lamelo Ball. What do you think, Mr. Kumar?
Well, I mean, it's pretty too early to say what's going to be the situation for Lamelo Ball. Lonzo Ball was drafted as a number 2 pick by the Lakers, and they promised him to be the next Magic Johnson for the Lakers, but that didn't happen. I think the problem is especially with their dad, LeVar Ball, who sets a very high expectation from them. So they are target as soon as they come into the league. Same is the case with LaMelo Ball. I mean, they expect him to be like the rookie of the year, or be get into a good team, be one of the best players. So when you have such expectations, it's very hard to sometimes maintain that momentum. And you're so much under pressure, and especially coming into the NBA from playing in other international leagues, it's a totally contrasting situation. So it's going to be hard for somebody like the Ball brothers. So of course he was traded. The brother Lonzo Ball was traded from the Lakers to the New Orleans Pelicans, and LeVar Ball actually claimed that the Lakers will never win a championship, and they won the championship in just the first year they traded him. So, I mean, I think it's very important that the bar is set a little bit low, give them room for improvement, because this league is going to test you. There are like veteran players, there are champions, and it's not so easy to come off and just play, great basketball right at the start. You can't have everybody to be like a LeBron James or a Kobe Bryant or a Kevin Garnett, who came out of high school and dominated the game right from the start.
Right, and those guys were physically able to dominate the game. LaMelo was still growing into his ball body, and he's still trying to get a little bit bigger and stronger. And like you said, Mr. Kumar, he's going against grown men trying to feed their families. They're not going to let dominate them. But I think LaMelo has the skills. But all I can say is, Mr. Kumar, do you remember a couple years ago, LeVar said he could beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one? Well, let's see if that actually is going to happen. They got a chance. Let's see if LeVar can put his play to where his mouth is, and if he can beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one.
Of course, I hope he doesn't beat him. So otherwise, LaMelo Ball gets shipped out too from Charlotte.
Exactly. Michael Jordan will be like, "See ya." So,
but I'm really surprised by this draft, because I really thought. A lot of people were hoping there'll be a lot of probably trades in terms of the top picks being traded to another team and trying to get players in, stuff like that, especially with the Golden State Warriors. But I think they just held on to number 2 pick, and so it's pretty much a good choice for the Golden State Warriors. We did ask the audience as well if they should keep that pick or trade that pick, and I think a majority of them voted to keep that pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, keep the pick, exactly. And I would have kept that pick too, Mr. Kumar, because they needed a big guy, and I think they made the right selection with Wiseman. And we also asked who will be the number 1 pick in the draft, and LaMelo got the most at 53%. Wiseman coming at second, and only 17% said Edwards, Mr. Kumar. Those 17% were right on the money with Anthony Edwards being selected at number 1.
Absolutely. And, it was a surprising pick by the Minnesota, because everybody thought it's going to be LaMelo Ball going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I think getting a shooting guard, he is a decent shooter, and he's good on defense as well. So I think it remains to be seen, how he develops, because this draft class was definitely not one of those impressive draft classes that you have. Right. And of course, these players also didn't get an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. The season was canceled because of the pandemic. So it was a gamble for a lot of teams.
It really
And the
was.
draft, yeah.
It really was
And
because
you were talking.
there was no combine. Sorry to cut you off, Mr. Kumar, but there was no combine. They had to do Zoom meetings. And I think that really showed that teams were not willing to trade up to number 1 and number 2 with the Timberwolves Warriors, because they were saying, even when the Timberwolves were on the clock, they were trying to field calls, but nobody was really responding and really wanted to trade up to them. So that kind of showed in this draft class. And Mr. Kumar, before I hand it back over to you, this draft class might be like 2013, where a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who actually went 13th, may be the best player in this class. Maybe a mid-round first rounder player, maybe the top of this class.
Absolutely. So I do have a few of the players, especially Dani Avia from Israel. He played for the Tel Aviv Maccabi team along with Amari Stoudemire. He actually went down the draft. I thought he would probably in the top 5. I think it was a good pick for the Washington Wizards, getting him because he's proven to. I mean, he's one of the youngest, players to win MVP in the Israeli basketball league. So he's got some, good professional experience. And I also thought Obi Toppin would have got picked in the top 5 as well. So the New York Knicks getting him is also because he was considered probably to be like a candidate for the Rookie of the Year. So, so it remains to be seen what happens to these guys because ultimately this is like a lottery. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, but the chances are that some of these guys can really come up big for these teams.
Right. And yeah, Obi Toppin did fall. Denny Avita did fall. I saw some memes on Twitter that saying Obi was crying because he had to go to the New York Knicks, but he's a Jersey kid, so he's going home. Mr. Kumar, the Washington Wizards seem like they love international prospects. They have Mo Wagner from Germany, Rui Hachimura from Japan, and now Denny Avita from Israel and Serbia. So, but I was surprised, Mr. Kumar, that at the number 4 pick, the Chicago Bulls picked Patrick Williams, small forward from Florida State. He was projected to go 7 through 10, but you were hearing rumors throughout the draft process that the Bulls really loved Patrick Williams, and they think he's going to be a good fit with Zach LaVine and Wendell Carter Jr. So let's see how he's going to play. He's coming from a great Florida State program that's been winning a lot. They actually had 2 first-round picks, and I think he's going to be a high impactful player. But let's see how many All-Stars we have in this draft, Mr. Kumar.
Yeah, but I mean, Detroit had like 3 top 20 picks, So I just hope, they drafted Killian Hayes from France. I think in the 7th or 8th pick that they had. Then they had Stewart, and so I think again, I don't know what works for Detroit, but they had probably the most number of picks in the top 20.
Right, they did. And lastly, before we move on, I got to talk about my Spurs, Mr. Kumar, the number 11 pick. I like it, a Devin Vassell. He's super long, rangy, 6'8". He plays defense. He's improving his shot. So let's see how the Spurs develop him and whether he can be a solid pro, because the Spurs needed wings, and I think they addressed it with Devin Vassell.
So the important thing about Spurs is they always, come up with, a rabbit out of the hat situation in the draft. Even Leonard, he was picked like, I think 13th or 14th, in the draft. And some of these guys have really developed into superstars for the Spurs. So good luck to the Spurs, but because they do have a great, development mentality. So I just hope they pick the right guy for the team.
Right. Let's see how Devin Vassell, blends with the Spurs team, and hopefully, the Spurs are in rebuilding mode. They'll get back to the top pretty soon. But we got to move on, Mr. Kumar, to some free agent and trade news. And the biggest news so far has been Chris Paul going to the Phoenix Suns, going to the desert, Mr. Kumar. What are your immediate thoughts about this trade when it broke?
Well, the immediate thought was definitely the Oklahoma City Thunder basically, didn't want to pay up, right? I mean, he's owed somewhere around $34-35 million next year. So they're offloading his contract, and Phoenix Suns is a promising team.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the West is really stacked. They did play a great basketball in the bubble. They won all 8 of their league games, but at the end they couldn't qualify for the playoffs or the play-in tournament. So they have a good chance of qualifying for the playoffs this year, and they get a veteran leader in the form of Chris Paul. But at the same time, he's going to be 36 years old, and
Yep.
his production is going to drop. So I mean, you can't expect him to play 35 minutes, for the Phoenix Suns. I would put him somewhere between 25 and 28 minutes, and giving you about 15 points, 7 or 8 assists a game, and he can become that great support for a player like Devin Booker.
I think he does, and I think the Phoenix Suns are going to need to find a backup point guard. But you hit it on the head, Mr. Kumar. He's going to be 36 by the time the playoffs come. You can't expect him. You saw a couple years in Houston when they played the Warriors. His body just completely broke down. But I really like this, as he's going to be a great leader for Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. He's going to bring a winning mindset. He's gonna be a great floor general. He's going to be able to find Devin Booker and Ayton and put them in the right spots, to be successful. And I really like this move, for the Phoenix Suns. And that shows Devin Booker that, hey, you can stay here, and we're trying to build a winning team, and you can develop and continue your career in Phoenix. And I think that's the biggest win that the Phoenix Suns made in this trade, is convincing Devin Booker that the Phoenix Suns are going to be a contender in the future.
Absolutely. And they have a very nice young coach. They have a very nice young core with DeAndre Ayton and, Devin Booker. So definitely Chris Paul's presence is really going to help that team mature and probably, go over that hump in terms of qualifying for the playoffs after like a decade or so. So, so good luck to the Phoenix Suns, and good luck to CP3 as well.
Yeah, good luck to CP3. He really resurrected his career, having a great season with Oklahoma City, had a lot of demand. But Mr. Kumar, I see the Suns as a team that's going to fight for the 6th through the 8th spot. They're going to play in the play-in tournament. They might give a little scare to a team in the first round, but I think the Suns are still in the back half of the Western Conference. But it's exciting, The Chris Paul going to the Suns makes the NBA more competitive balance. So I'll take it, Mr. Kumar.
And more importantly, I mean, they got to be somewhere between that 7th and 9th to 10th ranked team, because again, there's going to be a play-in tournament, for the 7th and 8th seed. So they do get that opportunity as well if they're pretty close to the 8th seed team. So there is a lot of upside for Phoenix Suns, and not a lot of downside, except for, of course, they would have to pay CP3 a lot of money.
Right, they had to pay him a lot of money, but I guess that goes with building a contender. And he's also, one last point is, he's going to hold DeAndre Ayton accountable. Last year he made the mistake of taking the PEDs and being suspended for 25 games. He showed a little immaturity. So Chris Paul, being that veteran presence in the locker room, is really going to set this Phoenix Suns team straight and bring a veteran leader and presence to this team. Another trade that happened, Mr. Kumar, was Jrue Holiday went to the Milwaukee Bucks for a couple first-round picks of the Pelicans. So what do you think about this fit, Mr. Kumar? Jrue Holiday teaming up with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton.
Yeah, apart from Jrue Holiday, that's also, of course, a sign and trade deal for Bogdanovic.
But actually,
I don't know if it's confirmed.
Yeah, sorry. It hasn't been confirmed yet. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's talks about that as well, that the deal has taken place, but it'll be signed in a couple of days. So we have to wait for that confirmation. But I think what the Milwaukee Bucks have done is got some time with Giannis in terms of probably making him stay in Milwaukee and sign that max extension when they offer him in December. So yes, Jrue Holiday has been, one of those top point guards in the league. He's a great defender, and they of course shipped out some of those old stars like George Hill and Eric Bledsoe to the New Orleans Pelicans. So and a couple of picks as well. So if Jrue Holiday, Giannis, and Bogdanovic combine together, I think it'll be a fantastic team, because they'll have, apart from these three guys, they'll have Chris Middleton and Lopez in the lineup.
Right, and I think it's going to be fit with Giannis because Drew doesn't always look for his own shot. He tries to get others involved. So I think he'll put Giannis in the right spots, but also Giannis is struggling or the defense is focusing too much on him. The guy can get his own shot, whether it's going from 3, mid-range, going to the rim. Like Mr. Kumar alluded to, he'll be a great defender. And really what played the Bucks against the Heat was they didn't defend at a high level like they needed to. So I think he'll bring that. Like Bogan Bogdanovic, there's questions about whether he's actually going to sign with the Milwaukee Bucks and, be a free agent. But if they happen to get him, that's just another shooter they can surround, Giannis with. So I think this was good for the Bucks, but also for the Pelicans, Mr. Kumar, that they were able to get rid of, Drew Holiday completely to the youth movement, get a couple picks to the Zion Williamson and company. So I think this trade worked out well for both teams. Mr. Kumar, I think the Bucks have solidified themselves as a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. I mean, the East, of course, apart from the Nets, who already signed up Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving last season, the Bucks are the major East teams to make a move so far, and so it's a tough situation for other teams. We don't know what's going to happen with the Toronto Raptors, with the Miami Heat, the Indiana Pacers. I mean, Victor Oladipo's situation also needs to be considered. So the East is, pretty much open. I think there is, of course, Milwaukee Bucks have strengthened their squad, so they are going to be contenders along with the Brooklyn Nets. They were the top team last season as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch what's going to happen in the East because the other teams, they have a lot of free agents. Like in Toronto, there's Fred VanVleet, Serge Ibaka. Marc Gasol has already chosen to probably play in the Spanish league. So a lot of teams have still a lot of moves to make. So let's hope that the East becomes stronger. But I think moving on to the West, the Lakers also made a move with Dennis Schroder. Shipping out Danny Green and their 28th pick in this draft for Dennis Schroder, and adding that has probably increased, the value of the Lakers because they have a situation with Rajon Rondo, they have a situation with KCP, they have a situation with Dwight Howard. So, the free agency signing starts day after tomorrow. So they just wanted to be on the safe side, and this move basically gives them an additional scorer, and a ball controller when probably LeBron is, not on the court. So he's been shooting 38% from the 3-point line in the bubble, and he's a decent scorer. He's been averaging about 15, 17 points a game, but he's not a great playmaker because he's only had about 4 or 5 assists for the OKC. But I like this move. I like giving that support to LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Right, and I'm sure you were talking about the Dennis Schroder, Mr. Kumar, and I do really like this move also. I apologize, everyone. I was having a little bit of internet connection or internet issues, so I'm back. But regarding Dennis Schroder,
that's okay. I got some lone time. I got some lone screen time.
Oh man, that's good, Mr. Kumar. So I think that Dennis Schroder is a pretty good move, for the Los Angeles Lakers. I actually think he's an upgrade to Rajon Rondo because first of all, he's more athletic. He has more scoring ability. He's not the passer that Rondo is. But the Lakers need scoring and someone else to be able to handle the ball, besides LeBron James. So I like Dennis Schroder also. He's a very tenacious defender. He'll get underneath your skin. He's very physical. He plays hard, and I think he's been an underrated player for a long time in the NBA, Mr. Kumar. He's been one of my favorite players to watch in regards to hustle and physicality. So I think Dennis Schroder is an excellent move, and I think they did this move, Mr. Kumar, because I think they think that Rondo is either going to go to the Hawks or the Clippers, and I think they're just doing it just in case that they lose Rajon Rondo. So solid move by the Los Angeles Lakers, the defending champs.
Absolutely, and they, of course, shipped. I'm sorry to say they shipped out Danny Green, but Danny Green wasn't really himself This past season. I mean, he was not the original Danny Green, and of course, one of those games where he shot a brick. But I mean, Danny Green gets shipped to OKC, and OKC ship him to Philadelphia. So Philadelphia also has been making a lot of moves. They shipped out Al Horford. They got Seth Curry in. They moved out Josh Richardson.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia, I mean, Daryl Morey has been really busy.
Daryl Morey is getting busy and not dizzy, man. I love what Daryl Morey's been doing. Getting shooters around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They got Seth Curry from the Mavericks. They got Danny Green. I think they're trying to replicate it in a couple years ago when the 76ers were the third seed in the East, and they just had Marco Bellinelli, Ilya Silva, and a bunch of shooters around Ben Simmons and Embiid. And Mr. Kumar, the Sixers are creeping back up in the East, and I've always been a fan of the Sixers, just because I love watching Joel Embiid play. He's been one of my favorite players to watch, and I think they have a chance to make some noise because they still have Tobias Harris, of course, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. It's all about scoring for them, Mr. Kumar. We already know they can play defense, but you got to score in today's NBA, and they're getting shooters around this team, and I think this team has a chance to be a very good offensive team.
Absolutely, because I mean, there's a big if in terms of Ben Simmons, because he absolutely cannot shoot, and we don't know if he's going to come out this season, improve his shooting, or what's the story going to be. So ultimately, if Ben Simmons is a great player, great point guard who can really defend well, and who can probably dominate a little bit from the inside the paint, but they had that big shortcoming in terms of shooting with Ben Simmons on the floor.
Yeah.
So of course, getting in Danny Green, and hopefully Danny Green, continues his better shooting percentage. And Seth Curry can, of course, I mean, he's been a great performer for the Mavericks last season.
Right. And even if Danny Green can't get back to his regular shooting ways, at least he's a threat on the floor. The defense has to respect him, Mr. Kumar. And Seth Curry had some big games. Luka Doncic really trusted him. And regarding to Ben Simmons, let's see, this is the year he can finally shoot. I don't know, on Instagram, Mr. Kumar, he posts all these videos of him working out, him shooting. He's been doing that the last 3 off seasons, but he doesn't even take a shot during the regular season. So I don't know if it's a mental thing, Mr. Kumar, or if he's not comfortable doing it. But I think this is a make or break year for Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and their tandem.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, a new coach coming in, Doc Rivers, maybe that helps him. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope that he comes out on the field, shooting 50% from the field.
Oh man, that'll be the Sixers' dream, Mr. Kumar. They would go crazy if that happened. If he shoots 50%, you might have a championship in Philadelphia. But Mr. Kumar, the big question is on rumors. Will James Harden be traded to the Nets? Very interesting, Mr. Kumar. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Houston stays put. If I were the Houston Rockets, I wouldn't trade him unless I get a really big piece.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the Brooklyn Nets, hey, I mean, either give me Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving, because you're pretty much shipping out an MVP player, MVP level player who has been the top scorer in this league almost for the last 3 seasons. So if I need to give up something so big, I need to get back something big as well.
Exactly. And I heard some rumors that, they might do a swap between, the Kyrie might go to the Rockets and James Harden might go to the Nets because James Harden and Kevin Durant play a little bit better together. But I think that, the Rockets are trying to ask for a lot and the Nets are making everybody available, but Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. But the Rockets really want one of those 2 guys. But I don't think this is going to happen. I think Mr. Kumar hit it on the head that the Rockets are going to play with Russell Westbrook and James Harden, see how it goes, and maybe they'll do something at the deadline.
Absolutely. And, it's not necessary that they have to trade Harden. And I'm hearing rumors that Houston Rockets are not going to really entertain any kind of trade unless it really makes big sense for them. Because they also have to deal with, Russell Westbrook. Because, he's asked for a trade as well. But I think both these people are asking for trades because ultimately they're getting older and they all want to win a championship. Even in fact, James Harden declined a $50 million extension. I mean, he would have been the richest. He would have been the first player ever to probably get paid $15 million a year.
Yeah, you heard that right. Mr. He said 50 million down. I think you really want a championship, Mr. Kumar. And they're kind of uncut. The Rockets are going, having traded Clint Capella. Austin Rivers is unhappy. PJ Tucker is unhappy. Eric Gordon is. So the Rockets are a dumpster fire right now. And I think they're trying to, get out and try to enhance their legacies and see if they can win a championship elsewhere, Mr. Kumar, because none of these guys have won any championships so far.
It's a very bad situation for Tillman because, they did an experiment going really small, and that didn't work out. They shipped out Chris Paul, got in Russell Westbrook. That didn't work out. And now Daryl Morey, who pretty much did the deal, he's shipped out. So it's been a crazy situation for the Houston Rockets. And they have to pay a lot of money for two of their biggest stars. I mean, they're pretty much, out of the $109 million salary cap, they pretty much pay 70% to two of those players, which is Harden and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, it's crazy. They can, and they're not producing, on the floor, having lost in the second round. We got to move on, Mr. Kumar, to our favorite segment, the Indian Third Guy segment, the spiciest segment on YouTube, where celebrity guest Prachi Tehlan.
Absolutely, and welcome, Prachi. Thank you so much for being here tonight. First of all, wish you a very happy Diwali and to you and your family. And I think you're coming to us live from the forests of Jim Corbett.
Correct. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. Happy Diwali to you too and to your families. And I'm really excited and very happy to be on your show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Very excited to have you on. And Mr. Kumar, let me actually ask the first question. So Prachi, how was your experiences, playing basketball and netball translated to your acting career?
So honestly, I had a long sporting career, which included both basketball and netball. It all started because I have always been very tall since my childhood, and that's how I got into playing basketball. And I played basketball for Delhi and also attended a lot of national camps, played for my college, played for my university for about 8 years. And I was in college is when netball happened to me. It's like when you're good at one sport, your college director, she encourages you to play other sports as well so that we can win that vice chancellor trophy at the end of the day. So I was thrown to put netball, handball, basically all the ball games. So netball, I was playing for the very first time, and it was a coincidence that there was a there were national selectors who were selecting for the girls for the camp of Commonwealth Games, which was about to happen in 2010 at that time. So that's how I was selected. I was one of the finest shooters, thanks to my coach Nirullah sir. And I learned how to play netball in the national camp from the very scratch when I was in college. So at that time I couldn't play a lot of basketball, but yes, netball happened and I played it professionally for 4 years for India. Also won first silver medal for India under my captaincy. And after completing my MBA, I was working for Accenture is when acting happened to me. So basically, all the good things just kept happening, and I just kept working hard towards it. And in a matter of 3 days, I got this, opportunity from a big production house on my Facebook fan page, and then I got to meet them, and it finally turned out after a week that I'm watching myself on Star Plus in the Aur Baati Hum, and I was like, okay, life is quite unpredictable, and it was really, really fun.
Thank you so much for that. But let me ask you. Everybody, India wants to become a star, right? In terms of acting. You have acted in Punjabi films. You have acted in films from the South. Did multilingual films, Hindi soap operas, and what is your favorite in terms of either movies or doing soap operas?
Movies, I would say, because movies gives you that scope of I feel movies are more creative in terms of its making. Daily soap or soap operas are like a regular job, like it's like a corporate job. You go every day, you work, you come back. But movies are more designed, they're more creative, and they are the duration of movies is obviously very short lived, so that is a fun and an interesting part, because in a matter of 2 months you get over with that character, unlike in TV, because TV, it's like you are living that character almost every day for more than 12 hours a day. So it kind of become a part of you. So there are pros and cons of both the things, but if you ask me, movies is something I would continue doing.
Very, very interesting. What has been your favorite movie that you starred in?
uh, the one in which I acted.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the most interesting ones was my debut, which was from this film, Punjabi film named as Arjun. And in terms of grandeur, it was Mamangam, because I got to work on one of the biggest Malayalam films ever being made, that too opposite the biggest superstar of South,
Wow.
Mammootty sir. So yes, so these two projects will always be very close to my heart.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Mammootty because I'm half Malayalam, half Tamil, right from Palakkad. So, but how was it
Sugamano.
working?
Sugamano.
Sugamai. So, how was it working with such a big superstar? Were you like overwhelmed just seeing him? Because he has acted in maybe like thousands of films, because it's either Mammootty or Mohanlal. That's it. Those were the only two actors in Malayalam films.
You can't. Before meeting Mammootty sir, I never had this awe for any of the actors, be it Bollywood, be it Hollywood. But after working with him, it was like, if somebody asks me whom am I a fan of, I would say Mamuka. He, more than just being a superstar, a mega star, a legend, I think he's an amazing human being. The way he carries himself on the set, the way he shares his knowledge, the way he's very welcoming and he's very open to talk to you about various things, and that was something which really which I admire about him. And he's quite friendly. I mean, he responds to your messages on various occasions, so it's really cool. I think Mamuka is really cool, and the way he looks at this age is amazing. No
What
words
about,
for that.
did you get a chance to meet Dulquer Salman as well? While, of
Not
course, you
yet.
were acting
No,
with
no, no. I didn't get chance to meet him, but meeting father was, it was like a dream come true. And working with him and making my debut with him was like amazing.
Yeah, it seemed like you've worked with some pretty cool celebrities, in these movies that you've been starring in. So, Prachi, what are some of your hobbies that you like to do, like in your free time?
I like to paint. I like to read books. I love listening to music. And then recently, during lockdown, I learned how to cook for the first time ever in my life. And yes, after marriage now, I love exploring jungles with my husband Rohit. He's quite an adventurer, and he pushes me to do things which I haven't done before, and which are quite dangerous and adventurous at the same time. I mean, hunting for a tiger in the jungle is something I
Oh,
don't need to describe, and that too just on our feet. So it's quite fun, and he takes me for these long walks under the hot sun, and I'm like, oh god, I'm going to get tan because I'm no more a sports person but an actor now. So I need to protect myself, and he'll be like, no, you have to come from here, and we are just walking besides a river, and long walk on the mountain. So it's quite fun. I think I'm quite enjoying and loving what I'm doing right now.
yeah.
Absolutely. So I think you're in Jim Corbett right now, enjoying the nature. So, of course. So coming back to a little bit of sports, of course, ours is an NBA talk show. So, any favorites in terms of do you follow the NBA or any favorite player that you have from the NBA?
The recent memory of basketball I'll talk about is the last game. Hello, can you
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
me?
go on. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
So
Go
this
ahead, go
this
ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So this Michael Jordan series on Netflix, The Last Dance. Sorry, I said it wrong. The Last Dance is something which I recently saw, and oh God, that man! I think I've always loved Michael Jordan, and I've always been inspired by him. And watching Last Dance was something which gives you that extra edge over what with what mentality that man used to play. Oh
Yeah.
God, I think that really inspired me, and yes, I mean that was my recent memory. To be honest, during the lockdown, I saw it what 3 times with 3 different people,
Oh
and I
wow.
pushed so many people to watch it. Oh my God, you have to watch it, because it is so inspiring. And people who didn't even know about basketball was called me back and said, Prachi, oh my God, what this is something really interesting. What you have recommended us. So yes, basketball, I'll say, will always be my first love, of
Nice.
course. That's how my journey began, and whatever I am today, be it an actor or a corporate woman or whatever I'm going to be in life further, one thing I will always be thankful to will be basketball,
Yeah.
because that's where my journey began. And basketball coach has given me a lot. My coach Nirula sir has given me a lot. I would like to share a small incident what happened. So I was playing this match in Singapore, opposite a team, and it was a netball match, and we unfortunately lost that match. But the coach of that opponent team came to me and she said, India has got one of the finest shooters in the world. And
Nice.
this is when I was in college. And from that specific day, I went back to my hotel and I called up my coach Nirula sir and I told him, sir, thank you. And he asked me, "Kyun kya hua? What happened?" So I told him that today, after a match, even though we lost it, the coach of the opponent team came to me and complimented me for my shooting, and I had to call you up because I knew that how much you worked on my shooting style, when it had to be the perfect. And even today, in spite of not being in touch with basketball, even if I have a shooting competition with somebody else, I have so much of confidence that I can beat that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is something what my coach did to me, and I'll always be thankful to them, not just for this is just a small experience I shared, but developing a personality in me, which taught me and which gave me this motivation to fight across various industries in my life till now. So
Man,
yes.
that's awesome, Prachi. You're an amazing player. You know, both basketball and netball. And now you have a very successful career in acting. But Prachi, I gotta ask you, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? I gotta put you on the spot there.
That's a tough one, but I'll still go for Michael. I don't know. I feel that there's something about him which probably I lacked, being a sports person, because in the Last Dance I saw this really strong mental uh, image of how strong a person or an athlete can be mentally. That is something what I learned watching him during the entire season, and that is something which really motivated me, that one needs to be so tough from the outside but so ambitious within. I mean, that moment when they say that Michael Jordan knew that there would be somebody in the crowd that who would be watching him play for the first time or the last time, so he had to make sure that it is worth it. I mean, these are the one liners or the storytelling, the way they narrated it. I think it is just wow, and it is so, more than anything else, I'm sure there are a lot of controversies on that as well, because a lot of players, I've read about it. But at the end of the day, what I would like to take away from that would be an inspiration, a role model, and all the good things what I as a person can grab from him. That would be my takeaway, and I think hats off to that legend. I think basketball is basketball today across the world because of Michael Jordan.
I mean, the only reason Shivam asked that question is because I am a big LeBron James fan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even asked that question, right, Shivam?
Exactly, and I'm a Michael Jordan fan. I think he's the GOAT, so we have a
So
little
high five.
yeah. So, but Prachi, me and Mr. Kumar have a couple of rapid fire questions that we wanted to ask you. So, Mr. Kumar, you can go ahead with the first question.
Yeah, the first question is, do you think there'll be a WNBA player from India or an NBA player from India?
Ooh. And it looks like Prachi's having a little bit of a technical difficulties there, but Mr. Kumar, I think that's a
Yeah, that she is definitely.
Oh, go ahead, Prachi.
So I think WNBA has more chances of having an Indian player.
Nice.
I think Geetu Joseph was the closest player who could, at least go to play for the international clubs.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of, women players who have now gone to the US on scholarships to various colleges. So, of course, there's a bit of competition between the boys and the girls. Let's hope that there is a WNBA player creating history for India.
For sure. So, Prachi, basketball or netball?
Basketball.
Let's go.
I got to play netball because of basketball. So, basketball.
So, but how was that experience captaining the Indian team in the Commonwealth Games? Because it's like a mini Olympics, right? I mean, it's not some small event. It was held in Delhi, probably for the first time in your hometown, in your country. So that would have been a great experience.
My words will never do justice to what I felt, and I think the singing national anthem, wearing your country's name on your chest and your family's name on your back is something which is irreplaceable. And even if tomorrow I become the biggest superstars, touch wood, but the feeling of representing country in sports will be irreplaceable.
Yeah. So
I know.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. So, Malayalam movies or Punjabi movies?
Bollywood, sorry?
Malayalam movies or Punjabi?
Okay.
Sorry.
Bollywood, Malayalam films.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, because they have better stories there.
They have
Just kidding, but-
beautiful stories. They have. I think Malayalam industry has the most richest content when it comes to the scripts and the storytelling, and the kind of cinema they make. Technically, they're so sound. Their pictures are just so raw and they're amazing.
Which part of Kerala did you shoot your movie, the Malayalam movie?
I shot in Ottapalam. Then I shot one more place, Kochi. Mostly the sets were at the Kochi. Yeah.
Kochi.
Okay.
Mm.
And did you enjoy, the food from Kerala?
Of course, I loved Kerala food, and I loved the kuttu parotha, and I loved having non-vegetarian food there, of course. Spicy, having coconut and everything. And I'm a foodie, so I love exploring, and I love fish there. I think if you got to have crazy, amazing, fresh fish, Kerala is the place for you in India.
All right.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So the next question, Shivam, you got to ask about the food part.
Yes, exactly. That was my transition. Perfect transition, Prachi. So my favorite food is chole masala. Mr. Kumar's favorite food is butter chicken. So which one is it? Butter chicken or chole masala?
Wow, that is a tough one. That too. So at this time, I'll go with butter chicken.
Oh man!
See, Michael Jordan, I supported you. So this time it has to be him.
No, but living in Delhi, if you don't have butter chicken, it's like, I mean, it's almost like a crime, Like, I mean,
it is even chola masala also.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the charts and everything in Delhi, those are
Yes.
also very, very,
Oh man, I'm
And
getting
so.
worried.
you and see no.
So we are having a
Sorry,
special
we
appearance.
have.
We
He
have a
came
special
again.
guest, the dog.
He came again. I was
That's
saying
fine.
that
I mean,
if you come to Delhi, you have to visit my place and have chola bhaturas and even butter chicken.
Oh, that's
My
okay.
mom
sure.
is an amazing cook.
Book it.
Yeah. So I think this qualifies as an open invitation for us, right?
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
All
It
right.
is.
Next time in Delhi, I'm definitely gonna come. So,
Come soon.
uh,
And of course, if you come to Mumbai, you can come to my house and I'll give you some good Kerala food. I mean, the traditional
Amazing. I would love to have.
Kerala vegetarian food, because of course
No
it's a
problem.
Brahmin household, but
Okay.
of course, I eat non-veg, so that's not an issue, but still.
Great.
so Prachi, me being in the U.S. in Texas, I gotta ask you. You visited New Jersey, Houston, and Chicago. So, which one of those cities was your favorite?
I quite liked Chicago and New York.
Okay, nice. That's what about Chicago, New York did you like?
Chicago was very peaceful during the times I went, and it was just, I think, pretty the downtown side. And New York was full of fashion. Oh my God! I mean, it's like fashion everywhere you turn around. It's like wow. And pizzas of New York, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
honest.
the next,
I think the dog heard the word ball earlier.
I think the next time you go to New York, you got to just take your husband's credit card. That's enough, right?
Okay. Yes.
Just go on a shopping spree. Go to Fifth Avenue. Just hit up all the shops.
I know. And I love the roadside hot dogs there.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so I'm going to put you in a little bit of a spot. So we're just drafting like an all-star team, celebrity all-star team. You are definitely one of the players. Who are the other four players that you would draft? It could be male or female, of course.
Okay. I would choose my Indian players. My
Yeah,
team
Indian. They
players.
have to be no Indian actors who can play basketball. So you would have to draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I would choose Akshay Kumar,
Okay.
John Ibrahim. Then who
Nice.
else is the fittest? I would choose Mahesh Babu from the South and Prabhas. All
Okay.
male,
So,
all male actors.
but I mean, but it'll look like as if you're being followed by four bodyguards.
I am also very tall. I'm 5'11". I'm going to give good competition to them.
Rocky, who's your Bollywood celebrity crush?
Bollywood celebrity crush. I would say honestly nobody. But if I have to take one name, then Hrithik Roshan.
Okay, nice.
But honestly, I didn't have a name. I just said it because you asked me.
Yeah.
No, but what about just
I would
a
have a
crush?
lot of names from down south, huh?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
So down
I mean,
south, I've
name all
already
the
told
crushes
it.
from down south.
The Mamuka for sure. Then I have always loved Kamal Hassan sir. Then Mahesh Babu Prabhas, and I think Dulkar is another actor who really attracts people with his talent. So another name. A lot of them
Absolutely.
actually down south, but
Yeah.
Bollywood there's no one.
Yeah. So we are gonna especially broadcast this message to the entire South film industry. So hope they're all listening and they know that you have a big crush on them.
Amazing.
Exactly.
I hope my husband doesn't hear this.
No. I mean, you can have crush, right? I mean, it's not.
I'm just
It is
kidding.
harmless.
I'm
It
just
is
kidding.
harmless.
He's also
Yeah.
open to he's also open to have his own list of girl crushes, so I don't mind.
Yeah. Absolutely. So But thank you so much for taking your time out,
Thank you.
especially when you're on a holiday. We didn't want to disturb you, but
No,
thank
it
you
was
so
an
much for being here.
amazing, fun session, and thank you for having me on your show. And I wish you all the best for your future shows and whatever you're doing. It's quite interesting. And I just wanted to pinpoint that I love the poster you've made of Patel and Kumar talk show,
Thank
NBA
you.
talk
Yeah,
show.
So, Prachi,
but there's one
Patel or
last
Kumar?
question. I mean, there's one last question.
Yeah, Patel
Uh,
or Kumar? We gotta ask.
Patel or Kumar?
This is the one in which you put me on the spot. So I'll go with both.
Mr.
I
Kumar,
love both.
Mr. Kumar,
I
she really wanted to say Patel, but she didn't want to hurt your feelings on camera.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Kumar.
No, I love both
Uh,
of you,
yeah.
and you
But
both
I
are
mean,
adorable.
let me tell you, all the ladies who come onto the show choose Patel, and all the men who come choose me. I don't know for what reason, but that's how it is.
I'll take it, Mr. Kumar.
I choose both of you.
I
Thank
appreciate it,
you.
Prachi. Well, thank you for coming on, and best of luck, in your future endeavors. And we're excited to see, where you're going to be. So thank you very much.
And
Same to
and
you.
if you want to give a message out to the people where they can follow you, or your Instagram handles and stuff like that, please, you're more than
Well,
welcome.
I'm everywhere there with the same name, Prachi Tehlan. My surname is quite uncommon, so you'll get only one Prachi Tehlan on Google, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. So yes, you can follow me there, and if you have any questions, you can DM it to me. I'm quite responsive, and I respond to all the decent and decent messages.
All right. Everybody, you heard it. Hit her up. Hit up Prachi.
Yeah, and hit us up too at
Yeah.
Patel and Kumar. We are
Yes.
trying to be as equally popular as Prachi, but we just hope that
That's
we
going to
can
take a
reach
while.
the number of followers that she has. So even
The
your fans, Shrishti, big shout out, a big fan. She's a big fan of yours. So thank you to all the fans for tuning in as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you, everyone. I
Thank
love
you,
you all.
Prachi.
Thank you so much,
Thank
both of
you.
you. You
Thank
were
you.
Yeah.
adorable hosts, and I loved interacting with you. It didn't feel as if it was an interview. I think it was a fun, interactive session, and that's how it should be. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy your vacation in the
Enjoy the
jungle.
rest of your vacation.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Enjoy your time in the jungle. Well, Mr. Kumar, thank you. That was a great conversation with Prachi Tehlan. We talked about a variety of things. They went by so fast. We learned a lot, and it was a great interview and great having her on the show. Even though, Mr. Kumar, I didn't know any of the South Indian actors and actresses that you guys were talking about, but it was good
Yeah,
overall.
I know. But Karan Oja asked Patel and Kumar, which club, according to you two, won this NBA draft?
So for me, it's got to be the Hornets getting Lamelo Ball and the Warriors getting James Wiseman.
Yeah, and I feel it's Minnesota and the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion. But uh, again, I've been telling from the start, this is a lottery, and if these players can develop on to become superstars, that's just good. That's just going to be very lucky for these teams. But connect with us on Twitter and Instagram at Patel and Kumar, and message us with your comments. Hit up with all your messages, and we'll try to respond during the show or live. And also like, share, and subscribe the Ekalavyas YouTube channel, because that's where you're going to catch us live on Thursdays with the new timing, which is 8 p.m. India time.
Right, and also we're going to have a special edition draft episode on December 3rd, and then starting our season 2 on December 22nd. But then after that, just as an important show reminder, me and Mr. Kumar are going to be on every other Thursday, every 2 weeks, as we get the season on. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Patel Pick and Roll Sports YouTube channels. But Mr. Kumar, we got a special ending, some Diwali memes, so I'll let you take it away.
I don't know, because we were having a little bit of technical issues. I don't know if we're gonna be able to show that, but if you're able to show it, it's just messages from Harrison Barnes of the Sacramento Kings. We had Sasha Vujovic. How do you pronounce it?
Vujovic.
Vujovic.
Yeah.
Vujovic. And of course, we had a lot of images from the basketball courts being lit up in India. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you in our next episode on December the 3rd, 8 p.m. India time. And that'll be on the free agency signings. And of course, we'll be live again on 22nd of December with the first show of the season. And let's go with a bang. So happy Diwali once again.
Happy
Happy
Diwali.
New Year. And, the
Adios.
sky's the limit. Adios.
Yep.